In a small African village, vibrant with life. Children were laughing and playing, women pound yams in wooden mortars, and men returned from the fields with bundles of harvested crops. Here comes Adanna, a young woman with a bright smile, helping her mother with baskets. She is known for her wisdom and kindness. Adanna has a younger brother, named Obiora. He is ambitious but impatient. He dreams of escaping the village's struggles and becoming rich to provide for their family. One evening, he tells Adanna, "I'll find a way to change our lives, no matter what it takes." Adanna warns him, "Be careful, Obiora. Some paths lead to ruin, not riches." That night, Obiora disappears without a word. Adanna searches for Obiora, asking villagers if they have seen him. An old man, sitting under a baobab tree, calls her over. "Your brother has gone to the market of lost souls," he whispers. "It is a dangerous place where people trade their virtues for wealth and power. Many who go there never return the same." Adanna is determined to save her brother. The old man gives her directions: follow the river that flows backward, cross the forest where trees whisper secrets, and climb the hill where the sun never sets. But beware, the market will test your soul. Adanna prepares for the journey, taking a small calabash of water, her mother's woven shawl, and her courage. The journey begins at dawn, as she ties her mother's woven shawl tightly around her shoulders. Her calabash of water hangs from her side, and determination shines in her eyes. The old man's words echo in her mind: follow the river that flows backward, cross the forest where the trees whisper secrets, and climb the hill where the sun never sets. Adanna steps out of the village, leaving behind the comforting sounds of morning, roosters crowing, women singing as they fetch water, and the chatter of children. The road ahead is quiet, almost unnaturally so, as if the world itself knows the gravity of her mission. After walking for hours, Adanna reaches a river. At first glance, it seems like any other river, with clear water glistening under the sun. But as she steps closer, she notices something strange: the water flows in the opposite direction, defying nature. Adanna hesitates. "How can I cross this?" she wonders aloud. Suddenly, a fisherman appears, sitting in a small wooden canoe. He looks old, with gray hair and a face lined with years of wisdom. "Why do you seek to cross this river, young one?" he asked, his voice deep and kind. "I am looking for my brother," Adanna replies. "He is lost in the market of lost souls." The fisherman nods knowingly. "Many have crossed this river seeking the market, but few return. To cross, you must answer a riddle. What flows but never stops, moves but never tires?" Adanna thinks for a moment, then smiles. "Time," she says confidently. The fisherman chuckles and gestures for her to step into the canoe. As he rows her across, the water seems to hum with energy, and Adanna feels a strange pull, as if the river is trying to draw her in. She grips the sides of the canoe tightly, her heart pounding. When they reach the other side, the fisherman gives her a warning: "Beware of the choices you make. The market takes more than it gives." Adanna enters a dense forest, where the air is cool and heavy with the scent of damp earth. The trees are ancient, their trunks thick and gnarled, and their branches intertwining like an endless maze. As she walks, she hears faint whispers. At first, she thinks it's the wind, but the whispers grow louder, forming words. "Turn back, young one. This path is not for the pure-hearted. You will lose yourself if you go further. Adanna's steps falter. Fear creeps into her heart, but she remembers Obiora's face and presses on. The whispers change tone, now mocking her. Do you think you can save him? You're just a girl. The market will consume you too. Adanna stops and speaks firmly. I am not afraid of you. I will not turn back. The forest falls silent, as if surprised by her courage. Suddenly, a path opens before her, lined with glowing fireflies. She follows it, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. After emerging from the forest, Adanna finds herself at the foot of a steep hill. The sky above is strange, neither day nor night. The sun hangs low on the horizon, casting a golden glow that never fades. The hill is rocky and uneven, and Adanna struggles to climb. Her feet slip on loose stones, and her hands grow blistered from gripping jagged edges. At one point, she falls to her knees, exhausted. Why am I doing this? She whispers, tears streaming down her face. But then she remembers Obiora's smile, his laughter, and the way he always tried to protect her when they were children. With renewed determination, she rises and continues climbing. Near the top, she encounters a small, frail woman sitting on a rock. The woman is weaving a basket, her fingers moving quickly and skillfully. Why do you climb this hill, child? The woman asks without looking up. I am searching for my brother, Adanna replies. He is in the market of lost souls. The woman nods and hands Adanna a small woven charm. Take this. It will remind you of who you are when the market tries to make you forget. Adanna thanks the woman and finally reaches the top of the hill. As Adanna stands at the summit, the market of lost souls comes into view. It is both beautiful and terrifying. Stalls made of gold and silver sparkle under the strange, dim light. The air is thick with the smell of spices and smoke, and the sound of voices, laughing, bargaining, and crying, fills her ears. Adanna takes a deep breath, clutching the woven charm tightly. She steps into the market, ready to face whatever lies ahead. As Adanna steps into the market of lost souls, she immediately feels a shift in the air. The market is alive, bustling with activity, yet there's an eerie stillness beneath the surface. People wander through the stalls, their eyes glinting with greed, desperation, or sorrow. The merchants, dressed in elaborate traditional attire, smile slyly, their movements unevenly smooth. Adanna notices a large wooden sign at the market's entrance. The letters shimmer as if written with liquid gold, and the rules seem to pause, changing slightly as she reads them. Rule 1: all that glitters has a cost. The first rule warns that nothing in the market is free. Every transaction demands a trade, not of money, but of something far more personal. Adanna watches as a man, desperate for success, approaches a merchant selling a golden crown. What do you want for it? The man asks. The merchant grins. Your ambition, you'll have the crown, but you never dream of achieving anything again. The man hesitates but eventually nods, placing his hand on a glowing orb the merchant holds. As the orb dims, the man takes the crown and walks away, his shoulders slumped and his eyes empty. Adanna shudders. What kind of place is this? She whispers. Rule 2: no questions about the past. Adanna approaches a stall selling jars of light labeled happiness. Curious, she asks the merchant, a woman with golden eyes, where do these jars come from? The merchant's smile fades, and her voice grows cold. No questions about the past are allowed here. The market lives in the present and trades for the future. Asking about the past will cost you. Adanna quickly backs away, realizing the danger of her curiosity. Rule 3: You may trade only once. Adanna notices a young woman at a store selling beauty. The woman hesitates, unsure whether to give up her honesty for eternal youth. She finally agrees, and the merchant hands her a shimmering veil. Moments later, the woman regrets her choice and tries to bargain for her honesty back. The merchant shakes his head. The market allows only one trade per soul. Choose wisely, for there are no second chances. Adanna clenches her fists, realizing how final and binding every decision here is. Rule 4: The market tests your soul. As Adanna walks deeper into the market, she feels an invisible force pulling at her. The stalls seem to whisper to her, offering things she secretly desires. A stall selling wisdom catches her eye. The merchant, an elderly man with a long white beard, waves her over. You've come far, young one. Surely you'd like to trade your fear for infinite wisdom. Adanna pauses, tempted. But she remembers the woven charm the old woman gave her on the hill. She clutches it tightly and steps back. I will not trade who I am, she says firmly. The merchant's face twists into a scowl, and the store vanishes into thin air. Adanna realizes the market doesn't just sell goods, it tests the very core of who you are. Rule 5: Leave before the third bell. A loud gong echoes through the market, startling Adanna. She notices a clock tower in the distance, its hands moving erratically. The first bell rings, and a hush falls over the market. A merchant whispers to her, the market closes after the third bell. Anyone who remains becomes a part of it forever. Adanna looks around and sees shadows moving in the corners of the market, former visitors who failed to leave in time. Their eyes are hollow, and they seem to be bound to the stalls, trapped for eternity. Rule 6: Do not touch what you do not intend to buy. Adanna watches as a man reaches for a glowing necklace at a store. Before he can pull his hand back, the merchant grabs his wrist. You touched it, so now you must trade for it, the merchant hisses. The man pleads, but the merchant is relentless. The rules are clear. You've made your choice by touching it. Adanna keeps her hands close to her body, careful not to touch anything. Rule 7: No one leaves the market without paying a price. I am here to look for my brother. Even if he's here, you cannot take him without making a trade, he says. I'll give nothing, Adanna declares. The merchant smiles wickedly. Then neither of you will leave. Adanna steps deeper into the market, her senses overwhelmed by the chaos around her. The stalls stretch endlessly, each one glowing with strange lights and tempting treasures. Merchants call out, their voices smooth as honey but with an undercurrent of menace. Come, child. Trade your worries for endless joy. Do you seek power? Fame? Wealth? We have it all. Adanna ignores them, clutching the woven charm tightly. Her focus is on finding Obiora, but the market seems to twist and shift with every step, as if trying to confuse her. She stumbles upon a narrow alleyway that leads to a peculiar store, a hall of mirrors. The sign above it reads, "Find what you seek." Adanna hesitates but steps inside, drawn by the possibility that Obiora might be there. The room is filled with tall mirrors, each one reflecting a different version of her. In one, she is adorned in gold and jewels, sitting on a throne. In another, she is old and frail, her face lined with regret. Obiora, she calls out, her voice echoing. But no response. Adanna, unshaken resolve to find her brother, is unshaken. She passes a stall filled with jars, each glowing faintly. The merchant explains, these are forgotten dreams. People traded them for success, and now they sit here, abandoned. Adanna's heart aches as she sees Obiora's name on one of the jars. She realizes he must have traded his integrity for the wealth he now clings to. Where is he? She demands. The merchant points toward the center of the market. He is at the stall of wealth, but beware, he may not want to leave. Adanna reaches the section of the market, where the stall of wealth towers above the others. Gold coins, sparkling gems, and luxurious fabrics are piled high, drawing a crowd of eager buyers. There, among the throng, she spots Obiora. He looks different, his once bright eyes are dull, and his shoulders slump under the weight of a heavy bag of coins. Obiora. Adanna calls, running to him. He looks up, startled. Adanna. What are you doing here? I came to bring you home, she says, grabbing his arm. But Obiora pulls away. I can't leave. I made a deal. This is my life now. Adanna looks into his eyes and sees the pain and regret hidden beneath his words. This isn't who you are, Obiora. You traded your integrity, but you don't have to stay. We can fix this together. The merchant running the stall of wealth steps forward, a tall figure draped in shimmering robes. His voice is smooth and commanding. He cannot leave without making another trade. And neither can you. Adanna stands her ground. What do you want from me? The merchant smiles wickedly. Your courage. Give it to me, and I will release him. Adanna hesitates. Without her courage, she might lose herself in the market forever. But she looks at Obiora, remembering their childhood and the bond they share. No, she says firmly. I won't trade my courage, and he won't trade anything else. You will release him, or I will destroy this market. The merchant laughs as she leaves, but she feels a small flicker of hope. She knows she's getting closer. How will you do that? The merchant asks. Adanna remembers the old man's warning and the charm from the old woman. She holds up the charm, which begins to glow brightly. The light grows stronger, forcing the merchant to shield his eyes. The charm's light spreads, illuminating the entire market. The stalls begin to crumble, and the merchants cry out in fear. Adanna holds the charm high, its power fueled by her love and determination. Obiora drops the bag of coins, and the weight seems to lift from his shoulders. Adanna. I'm sorry, he says, tears streaming down his face. Let's go home, she replies, taking his hand. As the market collapses around them, Adanna and Obiora run toward the exit. The merchants try to stop them, but the charm's light keeps them at bay. After freeing Obiora from the stall of wealth, Adanna and her brother stand at the edge of the market, but leaving proves to be far more challenging than entering. The market of lost souls does not easily release those who have walked its paths and traded their virtues. Adanna and Obiora must navigate a final series of trials designed to test their resolve, unity, and newfound understanding of what truly matters. Adanna and Obiora encounter one final challenge, the test. It is the market's ultimate barrier, designed to measure the strength of a person's character and the purity of their intentions. The test is not announced, it begins subtly, unfolding as a series of choices and illusions that force Adanna to confront her deepest fears, desires, and moral convictions. As Adanna and Obiora walk toward the market's exit, the atmosphere shifts. The once bustling stores fall silent, their vibrant colors fading into dull, lifeless shades. The path ahead twists and turns, shrouded in a thick mist that seems to whisper warnings. Obiora looks around nervously. Adanna, are you sure this is the way out? Adanna grips the woven charm tightly. We must trust our hearts and each other. The market feeds on doubt and fear. We can't let it win. The siblings press forward, but the mist thickens, and the ground beneath their feet begins to shift. As they walk, voices emerge from the mist, soft at first but growing louder with every step. The voices call out to Obiora, pleading and accusing. Obiora, you could have been great. You abandoned your dreams for nothing. You will never be enough without the wealth you gave up. Obiora freezes, his face pale. Adanna, what if they're right? What if I've made a mistake? Adanna turns to him, her voice firm but kind. Those are lies, Obiora. The market is trying to pull you back. Remember what you told me, you've learned that true success isn't about wealth or power. Don't let these voices take that away from you. Obiora takes a deep breath, nodding. You're right. Let's keep going. The path suddenly splits into 3 shimmering roads. Each road is lined with enticing visions. A booming voice echoes through the air, cold and commanding. To leave the market, you must choose the right path. One will lead to freedom, one to despair, and one will trap you forever. Choose wisely. Adanna hesitates, looking at the paths. The path of gold, glittering with treasures, it promises wealth beyond imagination. Adanna sees herself dressed in fine clothes, living in luxury. The path of power, lined with thrones and symbols of authority, it offers control over kingdoms and people. Adanna sees herself ruling with strength and influence. The path of truth, dark and unassuming, it shows no rewards, only a faint light at the end. Obiora, still shaken from his experience, looks at the path of gold. Maybe this is the way, he says, his voice uncertain. Adanna shakes her head, clutching the woven charm. The market feeds on greed and selfishness. The right path must be the one that asks for nothing in return. She steps onto the path of truth, pulling Obiora with her. As they walk the path of truth, the air grows heavy, and the path begins to shift. Illusions appear, testing Adanna's resolve. Adanna sees her family's hut, warm and inviting. Her parents stand at the doorway, smiling and calling her name. Adanna, come home. You've done enough. Rest now. Obiora tugs at her arm. Maybe we should stop. Maybe this is where we're meant to be. Adanna fights the temptation, realizing it's not real. No, this is a trick. We must keep going. The vision fades as they move forward. A merchant appears, offering Adanna a glowing staff. With this, you can control the market. You can save everyone who has ever been trapped here. All you have to do is trade your hope. Adanna hesitates, tempted by the thought of helping others. But she remembers the market's rules. Every trade comes with a cost. True change doesn't come from shortcuts, she says, refusing the offer. The merchant vanishes in a swirl of smoke. The path grows darker, and Adanna hears Obiora's voice crying out in pain. She turns to see him surrounded by shadowy figures, their hands pulling him away. "Adanna, help me," he screams. Panic rises in her chest, but she remembers the charm's glow. She holds it up, and the shadows retreat. "I will not give in to fear," she declares, pulling Obiora back to her side. At the end of the path, they encounter a massive gate, guarded by a figure cloaked in shadows. The figure speaks in a deep, resonant voice. "To pass, you must answer a question. What is the most valuable thing in this market?" Adanna thinks of the treasures she's seen: gold, power, beauty, and even happiness. But she also remembers the people she encountered, those who traded their virtues and lost themselves. She steps forward and answers, "The most valuable thing in this market is one's soul. It cannot be bought or traded without losing who you are." The figure nods and steps aside, the gate creaking open. "You have chosen wisely. Go, and remember this lesson." As they step through the gate, Adanna and Obiora find themselves back on the hill where their journey began. The market has vanished, leaving only the faint sound of a bell echoing in the distance. Obiora looks at his sister, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You saved me, Adanna. I don't know how to thank you." Adanna smiles, the woven charm still glowing faintly in her hand. "The market tested us, but it also reminded us of what truly matters, staying true to ourselves and to each other. Just promise me you'll never forget who you are," she says. Together, they return to their village, where Obiora begins to rebuild his life, guided by the lessons of the market of lost souls. Adanna, too, carries the memory of the journey, a reminder of the strength that comes from love, courage, and staying true to oneself. Moral lesson. The story teaches that wealth and success mean nothing if they come at the cost of one's character. It reminds us to hold on to our virtues, no matter how tempting the world may seem.